Hey there, everybody. Once again, I am joined by Nims as we do part two of the best of five 4v4 with the Dragons versus the Tucks. Now, Nims, for those who haven't seen the first video, though I don't know why you would watch the second without the first, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, everyone. I'm Nims. I hang out with Team Tuck all the time. They're lovely people, and I do some casting myself on the side.
Glorious, glorious. Now, on the Dragon side, there is myself playing Joan. How unexpected. Never change. Galactic on China, Boom Civ. Killer Dude on Byzantines, his main Civ. And Incan on Mongols, his main. Everyone kind of doing their kind of main Civs here, except for Galactic, who kind of fluctuates between a few of them. Now, Nims, would you like to introduce the Tux there on the other side?
We've got Artemis on HRE. We've got Bella on the Byzantines. We've got Deep Shine on the French this time, taking over for Jade, who was on the French, and we've got another French player, but JD, for Trips. Actually, two cavalry civs this time.
Yep. Two calf sips on Dry Arabia is a really smart choice. Just right off the back, when you look at Dry Arabia, everyone knows it's a really good multi-purpose map. You can boom, you can even defend up, but it's really good for night harass civs, as every civ usually has one flank that's kind of open. So having two night civs that can kind of work together to pincer those locations can put in a ton of work early on. Now, are you ready to get going?
I'm ready to get going.
All right, let's get started. Now, here in the north side, we have me across from Trips, myself across from Trips. Don't worry about my English. I definitely have a very good understanding of the English language. It's my first. Then we have Artemis across from Killer Dude. Then beneath him, we have Galactic across from Deep Shine. Under Deep Shine, we got Bella. And across from Bella, we have Incan. And can Bella just not get a break just across from Incan every time?
She is, yeah. I do like that the French players aren't right next to each other. It's a little nice when they're spread out, right? When you've got more room for your cavalry civs to harass.
Yeah, no, I would have to agree. Having the French players like separated out works really well because they can attack the wings first, head to the middle, attack the inner players for the second, and then from there they can coordinate to see if they want to take teams or bases on together, or if they want to switch off and just hit separately, which obviously
Honestly,
is going to depend.
I'm really liking the spawn for Team Tuck here because Artemis, who's they're on HRE, right? They're looking to pick up relics. There's no other HRE player in the game. Nobody else really is gonna go like has that relic potential like HRE does. There's no Japan in the game. There's no Rus, no Delhi, right? So they're just pretty safe back there, and in good range of most of the relics here.
Yeah, the relics are actually really well distributed. I would say normally I see relics like really favoring one side, but we see one behind each base. We see the relics on the top are a little bit leaning to the right, but the one that is closer to the Tux is a little bit closer to their base itself. And then in the middle, they're
I
pretty
do see the
spread
two
eagle.
houses from you.
Yeah. Remember, we were talking about that. My perfect build order. Just get two houses up
So
as fast as
Dandy
possible.
apparently opens up with two houses built by Jean, which puts him back a little bit, but I think it's something that he hasn't been able to knock. Uh,
Hey,
it's part of your build order now.
It's a part of my
You
charm.
can't unlearn it.
Yeah. No, it's the system. It's what I do. JD needs to house her people, man. She's for the people, by the people. She needs to make sure they have houses. Come on. We gotta be lore
Let's see,
accurate here.
we got landmarks going up right now. Aachen for Artemis, Grand Winery, School of Cavalry, and of course two schools of cavalry even.
Yeah.
Grand Winery for the Byzantines on the Dragons. Killer Dude is going up with it.
Yeah.
Silver Tree I think we've said it before in a cast. Silver Tree means trade.
Yep.
Mongols is likely to mean trade, and I'm wondering if this time it's going to be spotted out and harassed by presumably the French knights coming out.
Yeah, with double French, you should be able to put on pressure. Like, if you can't keep pressure with double French, you're going to be in a really bad position. Especially if you have Byzantines as well that can run Keshiks or Javelin throwers or longbows, all really good raiding units. Like, I don't know what you're expecting to do without, like, with that Civ combination, if not that. And obviously,
You were gonna have a bad time, I think. Like being the solo Cav Civ right now, and it's so valuable to have those cavalry civs running around, right?
Yeah.
Like, to have the upper hand in that, because everyone on the team then needs to start investing into the fences,
Yep.
right? Whereas they don't have to if they can just keep the enemy team in their base, if they can keep the dragons in their bases.
Oh, and that's true, but I will say that in my personal opinion, I think both sides have equal levels of aggression. My personal opinion, Mongols are even better at the feudal aggression due to Mengidai. Mengidai able to, like, get pokes off, which, you know, even if they can't kill a Vil, they can always circle back and finish them off whenever you're least expecting it. So
yeah, and actually, that's speaking of Mangadai, that's the first unit coming out already.
Yeah.
For the Mongol player, that's an archer range on the Uvu there.
Yep.
It's gonna be the first unit.
Yeah, that is Incan's specialty. He can raid like no other. And he's, like, you see, he's already got a Vil to half health with just a con. That means when double Mengidai come out, they can take that Vil out right away if they're not careful, which is going to force a defensive play from Deep Shine. Instead of going for raids, she's chasing down a con just to get it off the Vils, which is almost kind of a waste of time. But at the same time, you don't want to lose Vils, so it's like, which do? You kind of got to hope that your enemies or your allies are going to be able to put pressure on your enemies, whereas you're not able to. And with the double French Civ, like, that's still available to them. Though Trips is going to put on aggro, going for the boar with Joan, and this thing in Knight in to take on the gold. Unluckily for her, or unluckily for us both of us went for immediate tower. Me and Trips and myself have played a lot of games together. We both know each other's play styles, so we both know to just tower our gold immediately.
Yeah, I was just looking at that. Deep Shine hadn't built an outpost yet. It's going up now, and Bella's put that outpost up on her berries, of course, because those are important.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, good reactions from Trips here on that gold, and making sure all of your villagers stay safe, and she can keep producing those knights. She can produce knights, but isn't producing knights, actually.
Yeah. A little, I will say, that's one thing, Trips.
No!
She's running
Knights.
in.
Yeah, there we go. More knights coming in. Yeah, Mangadai up on Bella's gold there. A lot of villagers are going to go down here if she doesn't pull these back.
It almost,
she's hesitating, like, what do I do? Do I get this tower down, or do I just fall back? And actually, yeah, does get that outpost down. It's a little late, but yeah, I think she lost maybe 2-3 villagers on that outpost.
What I think,
and only now do the longbowmen come out, and it's too late. Those Mangadai are gonna go over to the next victim, which is gonna be Deep Shine. Deep Shine does have an outpost on that gold. There's 2 knights out there. Should just jump into that tower. Yeah,
good micro. That's some good micro. She's getting the Vils behind, immediately gets them back on golds. She's leaving the Vils in the outpost for just a second until she sees the Mengidais are gone, and that's a smart play. And now we see some good strategies from Trips. She's really hunkering that gold. She knows the gold is the most important thing to her economy right now. Yep. And that's like, and she's got to defend that. She's got a tower on it. She's hugging it with the knights. Good play. She's making sure that doesn't get caught. Because that's
a little concerned for Artemis on the deer in the center there. If those Mangadai come her way, It will be an issue. Like she's placing an early men at arms there, but
That doesn't
that's
help.
not going to defend against the Mangadai.
Yeah,
Needs
Mangadai
an
will run
outpost,
circles.
honestly.
Heck, even
Has
the
has
knights.
the wood to spare.
Yeah,
Yeah, Regnan's already going down, by the way.
what I think Artemis really needed to do was to just stay on the mill, like in next to the Regnants, and then just get a tower up there. I think this, like going to the middle, that's a play that says, "Hey, I'm putting no respect on your aggro. I think my aggro, our team's aggro, is going to beat yours," which is a really strong, bet. But now we see Trips, who was on a really greedy deer pack, is getting surrounded and losing tons of vills right now. Joan getting the AoE. She's already down 3. Probably going to go down to, it looks like 4, 5, if that one goes down. And will she go down 6 vills? That'll be 6 vills down for Trips because of one deer pack.
And it's a shame because she still had sheep to spare, so she could have postponed it for at least a little bit. And is probably going to lose her knights in against Killer Dude here. There's loads of limits on. I'm not sure what she's doing with these knights.
I think there was Miss Micro going on. I think because we had coordinated that attack, Killer and I, that I attacked right before he went after the golds. And then when they were busy, distracted with that, I immediately head southwest, and I put pressure on Artemis. And Artemis and Trips are both down to not good numbers. Trips down to 20, Artemis down to 28, at a point where people are in the 30s. Like,
yeah, and Deepshine actually has her knights moving out right now. They're heading over to that Mongol play, or over to the Incan here. They're hovering around, not really spotting anything, not really finding any villages as of just yet.
Oh no, and what you talked about before, Artemis's position in the middle, Mangadai and Knights are on it simultaneously. Vills are going down.
Yeah, there was one outpost that went down here, but it's not enough. Like, she brought out a lot of villages here and is losing a lot of villagers
and monks
in this fight. There were, I think, 3 prelates over on that position there, and she's lost all 3 of them.
Yep. And
would have loved to have seen, actually, instead of that opening with that stable, maybe if opened with a with the barracks, opened with a stable so that she could helped herself get the relics and everything.
Yeah.
Maybe Deepshine should have assisted her earlier. It's a little difficult because Trips obviously does not have the space to spare, and Artemis's own units are fighting over at Trips's side.
Yeah, and Artemis down to 18 vills, Trips at 20. Meanwhile, everyone's hitting into the mid 30 to high, like the low 40s range at this point in the game. That is not a good position for anyone.
Yeah, just a villager count for Team Tuck in general not looking that great. Only Deepshine really, being still safe. But all of her villagers are idle underneath the TC because she ran out of sheep.
Yep, and at this point, they've kind of lost the map control. So getting out on the map for like deer and berries is a risky bet. But at this point, what else can you do? Trips losing.
Yeah, that's Trips losing the gold, losing complete control of the gold. She's back on the deer, but can't be making knights without this.
Yep, and now Deepshine is getting raided, so her eco lead is officially gone. So that's rough for.
That's 3. Yeah, that's 3 dead villages already.
Yep. So,
and again, lots of idols underneath that TC, not gathering any food because the sheep are gone.
And that's one of the things with French. French is really bad at getting back into the game after a heavy loss of any kind. So trying to run around.
Yeah, they're not a defensive civ. They are terrible on the defense, right? This is it's a little surprising to me because this is exactly what should not have happened with 2 cavalry civs, right? The fight should have been over at the dragon side of things here, and instead they're scrambling to have to defend themselves.
Yep. And all of this aggro is causing, I think, a lot of chaos in the Tux team, as knights are just getting left in bad positions, vills are being unprotected. There's a lot of, I think, just too much strain on Deepshine's macro and micro right now.
Yeah, and Trips is losing all of her knights to Limitane.
Yeah, which can just
I don't think I've seen a lot of her knights. go down to the other knights. She's fighting Limitane, and it's like when you see the French players start producing horsemen instead, you know that they're in for a bad time.
Yeah, and I'll say horsemen can be used, but it definitely is not what you want to have to rely on in a pinch. It looks like a move of desperation, doesn't it? Yeah. At least from this position, I've gone for horsemen instead of knights whenever I know I'm going to lose the cav no matter what, and I just want them to distract. I don't want to waste my gold. I don't want to waste as many resources, so I just spend the 120 resource total, 140, whichever it is.
Down on the south, Bella is trying to defend her Grand Winery there. Deepshine has a couple of knights in there, Keshik, there are Mangadai, and there's a huge number of Zuganu there.
Oh, man.
The longbowmen are out, but they don't have their ranged upgrade yet, whereas the Zuganu definitely do. And remember, that's basically like not a 1 extra damage, that's 3 extra damage, right?
Yeah, it's a lot. Like Zuganu mass, we do see Galactic pulling back. I think due to the inherent fact that while they can win this fight and do a lot of damage, they're not killing the base. And I think the dragons are just in that strong of a position where we can just sit back, continue our raids, because economically we're ahead by about 25 to 40%.
Yeah, well, it's Artemis and Trips that are in that have villager counts in the 20s, whereas everyone else is like Dragon's moving up into those 50s, and Tuck is Deepshine and Bella on the 40s.
Yeah.
But it's like Bella and Deepshine are okay. They're doing all right. It's definitely the south flank here that's looking the strongest.
Yeah.
But Artemis, let's see, how many relics did Artemis even get in? There are none. There are none. There's just the relics on the ground and near the outposts that were destroyed. I don't think there are any other relics, which is
that's rough.
Baffling to me, honestly. Should have really hammered down on trying to get those relics in, right? You went Regnus. This is the whole game plan as HRE. You had the very early prelate like just station out on those relics, and then no follow up on it. No capitalizing on those relics.
Yeah, and as HRE in this position, you don't have a choice. Those relics are your lifeblood. At 24 vills, each one of those relics being the equivalent of like 3 to 5 vills on their own, if she could get like 4 of those relics, that would shoot her back up into this game. She would need no vills on gold.
It's why you go castle, right? Like, yeah. It's why as HRE you hit castle first, and you kind of just expect your teammates to do the early heavy lifting for you. You're essentially taking a loan out on the rest of your team, right? By not really doing much of anything else in that early game.
And we're seeing a horrible mistake from Artemis. Push an army out that definitely could not win out against the mass knights. And now suddenly, like, she's got mass knights in her base, killing her eco.
Oh, yeah.
This, once again, plummeting down beneath 20 vills in a matter of seconds. We're at the point where people, if they were booming hard, could be in this, like, 70s even. Now, obviously, this is an all-out aggro game, clearly. And no one's gone for the heavy boom. So, like, people are not above, like, 65, 60 range. But at 13 vills, at the 17-minute mark,
you're out of the game. You're out of the running.
Yeah, like the only way you're gonna get back is if your allies can make some big plays. And I'm not talking like, oh, just win a battle or two. No, you get like 10 knights on 20 vills and you wipe them out. You need like 3 or 4 big plays like that to make up for all the losses.
I think really it comes down again to, hey, like somebody on Team Tux needs to say, hey, there are Mongols in the game. They're making Mangadai again, right? Because that seems to be every time, like just like how this gets started, how they lose those first villagers, then they get some downtime on those villagers.
Yeah.
When they get the downtime on those villagers, they stop producing their units. When they stop producing their units, they can't defend against the incoming French knights then that they will need to fight. Speaking of French knights. Yeah, there's a lot of French knights on Trips' base there. She's scrambling to put up some defenses, scrambling to put up that palisade. French gonna go down. It's gonna go down in seconds again. She cannot defend against these knights.
No, at this point, the only way to deal with mass knights is obviously mass spears or mass crossbows or something, or Castle Age units at the least. And at this point, she's in
knights of
feudal.
her own are just not enough.
Yeah, she needs an ally to save her. But oh god,
It's not going to be Artemis
look
with
at
17
the
villagers.
Look at the
That's for
Limitanai. Look at the Limitanai longbow coming to the right side of her base.
Oh, yeah, that's a huge number of them.
Yeah, that is a total of 68 military from Killer Dude bearing down on her when she doesn't even have one. She has 0 military as of this moment, and that's 68. 69 as it increases. Myself, obviously,
Nice.
my knight numbers are increasing. Deepshine desperately trying to get the knights off of trips, but she doesn't even have half the numbers. That's not going to be able to keep up.
No, at this point, all Trips can do is kind of just try and get
Salvage
some of
some
her
bills.
villagers out there and go grab some stone and some wood and build new town centers over near her allies, because it's over for her base. She can't defend it.
Yeah, and meanwhile, like in the south, we have Galactic and Incan. They're going Kurultai, Masjugnu, and just spamming out the military, ready to just make a death push to just clear out. And unluckily for Trips, I am wise to her devious schemes. I know she is very smart about trying to get her bills out and trying to get multiple TCs up to catch up. I know that well from her. And having scouted that map early with the double scouts, I know exactly where to go look. And her vills in the north are immediately getting run down by more knights.
Because there is definitely combat potential always in a 4v4.
Yeah.
Just for the record, right? Like, if in a 1v1, right? Trips is never coming back from this. Artemis is never coming back from this. But in a 4v4, it so happens. It happens so often. And what you got to do is, I think, honestly, the stone outcropping over on the top side was probably the bad idea. It's better to go at the stone outcropping, like past Artemis's base, all the way in the back, because then your allies can come and
Support you.
defend you. They can come to your aid, but you've pushed your villagers even further out than they already were.
Yeah, but there is a level of knowledge to that, like where you'd be like, okay, a good player knows to look behind my base. They're not going to think to look behind their base, you know, that mentality.
Yeah.
But it didn't work out for her this time. And Artemis going down, immediately all her military is gone. More vills are dead. And the mass Kairos are moving in. And obviously, as a mobile faction, I'm just going to keep moving on. At this point, there is no military. Like, we'll just leave Killer Dude to do the cleanup work, so to
it's
speak.
frankly like Artemis has had just a textbook start, right? Fast Castle, Prelate right on the relic, and then was able to do absolutely nothing with it.
Yep. Meanwhile,
Lost all the prelates, lost all the food.
in the south, the Masjugnu with Kurultai, even though these are only veterans, they have 8 base damage with the 3-round burst, with the Kurultai giving that 20% damage. So they're basically doing, you know, what is it, like 9 to 10 damage per shot, which obviously even with the ranged armor, that's not going to be enough.
Eating through those French knights from Deepshine.
Longbows going down. We see that Deepshine's knights in her base are getting massacred due to the number.
And they're fighting underneath the Kurultai, which honestly is just a bad idea, right? Like,
Yeah,
I would at least pull back behind your walls.
Yeah, that would be the thing. We do see a quit out from Artemis, a quit out from Trips. Understandable. Your team has just lost everything. The eco is not in your favor. We see Deepshine give out, and with that, Bell will also be going down. That's a rough one. And the thing is, this is the exact same game from last time, except with just a little bit more aggro instead of the fast castle from the dragons. Like, this should almost be expected when you see that
Again,
3 of the players are the same.
I think this came down to Team Tuck's knights not quite being there where they should have been.
Yeah.
Not getting any sort of value. Maybe like it's hard to see that to spawn in a 4v4 when I've just got like complete vision and everything, right?
Yeah.
Where their scouts are, where their vision is. but maybe they didn't quite have the vision on, hey, where can we raid? Where can we
Yeah.
harm the opponent eco? Where can we idle out
I,
the enemy villagers?
Yeah, I would say a lot of that is just coming down to the experience of the teams when it comes to aggro and raids. Maybe like the Tucks are a little bit more experienced with an all-out push and less so like raiding, while the Dragon space, it's much tighter, much more condensed, much safer. They're putting out, the only thing out on the map is the military itself, where you see players like Artemis is going for the greediest of deer packs, and so is Trips. Like when you're not winning the map control, you can't be out on the map. You just don't have
Right,
an option.
because that's a precursor, really, too. Like, you can only be out on those deer camps if you're winning your push,
Yeah.
right? If your French knights, if your team's knights are doing really well, and your opponent is clearly sticking to their base because they can't move their units out, because the moment they do, right, a lot of the villagers are free game and they go down.
Yeah, and I think one thing with Deep Shine, just obviously I'm being a little, I may be being a little bit too critical here, but Deep Shine, her knights were on the defense were not very effective due to the fact that she kept having to split up her knight mass, whereas like I'm able to keep it all in one place. And the same thing with Incan, where we're winning our fight, so we just keep the ball rolling. She's got little pockets everywhere against, like, and it's not doing anything, you know.
There's value, I think, like in having multiple groups of knights sometimes, right? Especially when you're trying to surround an enemy base and they're like, you're on that first gold, right? And they immediately move out to their second gold, and your French knights are already waiting there in their second gold. Like sometimes that's really good, right?
Yeah.
But there's as a French player, as like if you ever played Cav Civs, sometimes you need to consolidate that mass and just like get on that wood line, right? Like get on underneath that town center and really do some damage that way.
Especially when your neighbors are Mongols and China, you know they're going to be stuck on their base with mass sheep, and they're not going to be able to garrison them all. And then with China, they're going to be on Dry Arabia, which has very spread out wood lines. They're going to want to get granaries up, so they're going to have granaries out in the middle of nowhere or just completely open, and they're going to have a lot of villas on a very open wood line. You have to be raiding those heavily. You can't, like, it's good to run defense, but if you can't win the defensive fight, then you're forced to just go in and do as much damage as what was done to your allies to equalize that, because that'll kind of force both teams to pull back or go for a risky bet where they all in. And if they all in without enough eco behind that push will die down, and that's not where you want to be. Like, so I almost feel like it's better as French, instead of running defense for your allies, you need to be just putting the pressure on your enemies and forcing them to make a mistake. Obviously, though, that's just my opinion. I know there's a lot of French players that love to use some defensive knights because they can clear, if they can get a backline charge on like a massive archers, you can just clear out a blob of military very quickly. So I do see the value in it. But I think that's about everything for that game.
Yep.
All right, Nims, thank you for joining us today, and thank you, viewers, for coming and watching that and joining us, and hopefully you'll come in and get the next one. You all take care.